Oh yeah, Sakuya Nade. Welcome in, guys. This is part two of my character concepting video, and let's get my screen situated here. And we're going to be back in Krita for some more action concepting the character. So I went on to the Etsy site and grabbed some more images. These are only a few of them. I decided I wanted this helmet too to try it out. So we're going to be seeing what that looks like. This is what's really great about working in a layer-based drawing or photography program like Photoshop. This is Krita. This is a free open source drawing and painting program. Its claim to fame is that it has basically very realistic looking media like chalk and oil paints and stuff like that. But we're not going to be using it for that. We're using it because it has layers and because we can bring images in and we can color correct them and we can paint on top of them. So that's basically what we're using it for here and why it's so helpful to us. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of recap what we talked about this morning very quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but basically, let's say you wanted to make a Mandalorian and you'd never, made any kind of a costume before and you had no idea where to start. Well, this is where concepting comes in. And one of the benefits of concepting that the movie industry and the gaming industry are very aware of is that you can spend very little money in the beginning getting your idea figured out on paper, and this includes writing and artwork and models and all kinds of stuff. And then you're going to save money when you go into production by not wasting a bunch of time making things you don't really want, or don't actually serve the project. So one of the ways you can get inspired for your ideas is by using a process called look development, which is where you go through and basically grab things that strike your fancy, basically, that you go, oh, that looks cool, I kind of like that, or I like this element of that. There's something about this thing here that I like. Maybe I just like the colors. Maybe I like the presentation. Maybe I like all the accessories. So you can go through. This is on Pinterest, by the way. So, you can just get a free Pinterest account and you can type in Mandalorians and you can find out all kinds of cool things about them. And you can grab some cool pics while you're at it and see how some paint schemes work. The second thing we talked about was figuring out your colors. So I found this kind of goofy color chart for all these different Mandos, and it's funny because they're all kind of named like we've got Solus Cal and Solk Cal. I think these are ranks, but I'm not sure, but they're all Cal, so everybody's a Cal. So I'm guessing Cal is something, I don't know what, but I gotta look that up. So I've been very bad about practicing my Mandalorian in the last few months because things have just been crazy with creating the Prop Mastery membership and making videos and kind of changing up the whole process of how I do things. So it's been fun, but some things have had to take a back seat while other things have taken a front seat. So I typed in to Google, well, actually to DuckDuckGo, Mandalorian colors, and it brought me up in the images panel. If you don't know about images, when you do a web search, you'll get your links here, but there's all these categories here: images, videos, news, etc. We want images. So we're going to see, again, this is an alternative to Pinterest if you don't want to go into Pinterest, but you're not going to get quite as much. You'll get a lot of variety. Okay, so the Pinterest is more subject centric. So we saw a lot of pictures of Mandalorians here, whereas here we're getting, helmets and articles, line drawings, etc. So, this is pretty cool too. This is another good resource. And you can always just open these pictures up and just, go view file, and then you can copy or you can save the image somewhere on your hard drive. Maybe create a folder that is all these images for your character that you're using as a reference. So, as a guideline. So the next thing then is, say you've kind of figured out some of your colors. Well, now we can talk about something called color theory, and we touched on that this morning. What color theory is about, it's the science of how colors work together. For instance, whenever you see a certain color of light, the shadow is going to be a complementary color. For a lot of people don't know this, but sunlight is into the yellow spectrum, so shadows are actually slightly blue. All right, so that's color theory. So yellow and blue kind of work together, where you've got your bright color and then you have your dark color, and we can see that evidenced here. Whereas we're kind of in the yellow spectrum here. If we push it out over here, then we can see we're getting some purples. If we go back up in here, more towards the orange, now we're getting more of this blue. I'm finding these colors here are pretty interesting. Okay, so here it shows you like examples of what those colors would look like on a web page. So this is kind of about figuring out color palettes for web pages, but it's just as valid for figuring out color palettes for anything that you want to have more than one color on. And then always a good thing to remember is that you could have just one main color, and then you could have neutrals as the rest of your colors. So like white, black, and any shade of gray go with everything. So I mean, that's what's great about those. And those can be considered accents, or like framing colors, I guess would be a good way of putting it. So there's another palette here. This one's actually pretty fun. This one's called Coolers. Okay, and what it does is it pops up a set of 5 colors that are all compatible with each other in terms of color theory. But if you hit your space bar, we're going to go ahead and let's see if we can just press the space bar to generate color palette. Let's see if we can we'll just unlock everything here, and we'll go through this one more time. If you hit your space bar, then it cycles through a whole new set of colors. So as you can see, we've got this really dark contrast color here. We've got a very bright color here that's very much like a sky blue or a light blue. But then we have these 3 other greens or colors where we've got kind of almost a teal, but it is pushing into green a little bit. And then we've got this celadon, and then we've got Cambridge blue. So it's saying that's a blue. That looks like a green to me. I don't know, but they work together. But if you don't like it, you just hit the space bar again. It brings it up. So let's say there's a color in here you like. Let's keep going. Let's say you really like this orange. Okay, and what's not to like, right? So we'll hold that down. And you know what? This blue goes with it rather nicely too. So we're going to lock that. And then we're going to see what else we get. Okay, the green, no. Totally don't like the green. Not digging the purple. The dark night is pretty cool. I really like that. So we're going to hit the space bar again. And I like this. Okay, see, now this is kind of a gray. This is it says papaya whip. So it must have some very, very light orange hues in it. Now, these are just color guidelines. You don't necessarily have to. Okay, here's one that's kind of a gray. This is cool. So we'll save that. Now this could be a color palette. So, you could say like, okay, my main color is going to be this, okay? And then I can use this as my accent color, and I can use this as sort of a neutral for separating things. And, we'll see more of what I'm talking about here when we get into the actual nuts and bolts of the drawing. But anyway, this is a color palette creator. It's very handy. That in conjunction with this one can work very well. Then we looked at a paint company that happens to have a, let's see, let's go to the Montana Gold. They happen to have a very nice chart of their colors. Okay, so here we see, just a few, but if you go show more, it shows pretty much the whole range of colors that they sell, and there's a lot of them. So I got turned on to this really cool site online where you can buy these paints. Jerry's Artorama. Shout out to my VOD Andre Spell for getting this to us. I normally go to a art store here locally in the Springs where I live, and they most of the time they have what I need, and if they don't, they have a store in Denver that they can get stuff sent down from, but I usually have to wait a couple of days. So it's not a big deal, but and it's nice to support local vendors. But when you need something now, or you're planning ahead, you can always sometimes get a lot better deals on these bigger sites because they deal in volume, so they get way better prices than what you're going to get from a local vendor. But again, there's sort of that ethical thing too, where you want to support people in your community. So but anyway, so yeah, we talked about paint, and then we also talked about another way of concepting your ideas is through AI. And I'm going to be looking in depth into this one. It's called Focus. It's supposed to be better than Midjourney. And if you know anything about AI, Midjourney and DALL-E are kind of like the big, or have been the big image generating AIs. But there's a lot of work being done in the AI field right now. And some people have very negative feelings about AI. I totally get that, but the truth is they're here, and we might as well start making friends with them now so they can put in a good word with Skynet when it comes online next year, and it won't nuke all of us. It'll, because we'll be friends. So we want to start making friends with the AI now while we have an opportunity to do so. So I'm going to be checking out Focus, and I'll be talking very nice to it, you can be sure. But yeah, we'll be looking at that. We'll be doing probably a live stream on that, and we'll do that pretty soon, I think, because definitely want to start pushing the live streams more. I enjoy doing them, and I like this format where it's not like the Zoom thing, because you guys can message me in chat and I can answer your questions, but I can stay very topic focused. But I also like the back and forth that I get when I get to interact with you guys on a Zoom call. So I'm thinking about doing one of each. Maybe one day I'll do the Zoom, and another day I'll do the YouTube, and we'll do 2 a day like we're doing now, so we can get to the folks in Europe and let them be able to participate. So anyway, that's kind of a recap. This image is an image I created using my character avatar that I built armor off of in Blender, and it's basically a generic human male physique, very statistically average, not overly muscular, not overly tall, and proportionally balanced / generic. So this is a really good form to work off of, even though this doesn't really represent me at all, and it's probably not going to represent everybody. I mean, there are people that definitely fall into this category, and they're, I guess, kind of lucky, but because everything fits them. But this is still a really good tool for concepting. So what I have done is, whoa, what did I just do there? I think I painted something. I gotta move this over because I'm getting my toolbox clipped off. Okay, so let's zoom this in just a little bit so we can kind of see what I've been doing. Right now I'm kind of focusing on the front view. And again, like I said, we're in Krita. This is a free open source painting and drawing program that you can also do layer-based image work with, like in Photoshop. Because what I've been doing is I went on to the Etsy site that sells all this stuff and started grabbing pictures of the different components, and specifically looking for front and side views of everything. And I brought them in, like here's the greaves, so I brought these in and just basically put a selection box around them, copied them, and then came back over here and pasted them. When you paste them in, they automatically drop into a layer here. So that's very handy. And you can hide stuff, and then you got to sort of manipulate it and put it where you want. So right before the stream started, I was working on the greaves, and right now everything's kind of a weird color because we haven't gone in and like color corrected it or done anything to it like we did with the chest plate this morning. This morning we brought in the chest plate and the belly plate, we desaturated them, added a drop shadow in. So you'll learn a bit about Krita. the caveat I want to make is that I am doing everything with a mouse, and I am doing it with my right hand. I am left-handed. I can draw, but I can only really draw with my left hand. So the point of that is to show that anybody can do this. Okay, you do not have to be an artist, quote unquote, an artist to figure this out. Okay, or to do this kind of thing. This is something that anybody can do. You just kind of got to know the procedures, and it's very procedural. It's very and very simple. Once you learn the mechanics, and there's really not that many of them. You know, it's copy, paste, move, shrink, scale, and then maybe some rotation, and then there's some areas we might want to cut out. Like for instance, on these greaves, we don't really need to see the back wall here, so we're going to get rid of that. So let's go ahead and work on these right now. We'll go ahead and select the layer that the greaves are in, and every time I brought something in, I named the layer. And the way you name it is you just double click on it, and then you can put in a name. So I am right here on Greaves Front. So if I get my selection tool right here, now you can see I've got the right and left greave in one image. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do about that? How am I going to get the left one over here? Well, it's actually not that hard. What we're going to do is we're going to take one of these selection tools, and in this case, we're going to take the polygonal selection tool, and we're just going to go and we're going to draw a line around it, just like this. And now we've selected it and kind of separated it from this side. So now we can take the move tool and we can just move it on over. What was nice about having them together though is that when I scaled this one, I also got this one to being the right size. I'm going to hide this image of this knee right now by just clicking the little eyeball next to it. And then we're going to get our transform tool. And transform means to move or manipulate in some way. And you can see when I hover over these little control squares, different little arrow images pop up. Okay, so like right here, I've got this rotation, so I can rotate from here. I've got this, which can pull it out that way. We actually don't want to do that. We have this corner here, which can pull it up like that. We don't want to do that either. If we wanted to scale this thing uniformly, then basically what we have to do is hold the shift key down, and we can click and drag, and it will scale uniformly. However, we've already scaled this, so we don't really want to do anything else to it. What we want to do is just sort of get it into position where it needs to go. So, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, there we go. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to deselect. So I'm going to go up here to my select menu, and I'm going to say deselect, and that makes that dotted line go away. So now we're back to one image. So if I do this, then everything moves together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of cut out these back areas, and for that I'm going to need to zoom in a little bit. So we have a magnifying glass right here, and I'm just going to push in on this, and then we're going to take that polygon selection tool or polygonal selection tool again, and we're going to just come in here and we're going to just cut this out just like that, so that it looks, it doesn't look like it's floating over the leg, right? All right, so that should be good. When this all connects together, then sometimes you have to kind of double click it to get it to go. So now we should be able to hit delete, and that took that part out. So we'll go ahead and deselect, and we'll do the other leg. So we're going to just run through here. We're going to start putting this guy together and desaturating everything and getting him ready to start, creating some colors for him. So that's basically the plan that we're gonna try to do here. Let's see. I'm just checking something here real quick. Yeah, it looks like I'm low in the frame again. I don't know why this keeps moving, but I gotta adjust that. I don't know what's happening there. It's like my camera's moving or something. Let's see if we can make this a little better. No, we can't. Okay, that's weird. Why is that? Well, I guess that's about as good as it's going to get. That's really strange. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like totally shifted. I wonder if it's like because of my rangefinder. I don't know. I'm mostly in the frame, so I'm going to just go with it. So here we go. All right, let's get back to work here, right? I want to get this character done. I think I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to scale back out by hitting Control and minus, and then I'll hit the space bar, and that brings up this little hand icon, and that can let me move the picture around. So this I'm going to just go ahead and select real quick with the selection box, and I want to just kind of make it a little bit longer, just a little bit. We're just going to cheat it just a little bit, like that, and then we'll deselect that, and then we'll come back in, and ooh, look at that! Wow, you can really, yeah, there's the pixels. Those are all the pixels. Crazy. Okay, I didn't realize this image was so low res. You might have to punch this up a little bit. We can definitely do that. I think I had said that I wanted to give you guys the actual individual, you know, the front, the back, the side, individually, because they are definitely higher res than this. And then you can just make your own character sheet, or you can work them one at a time. It's really good to have all the views on one page. It just makes it easier. And, you know, this is a concept. We're not looking to get every single thing figured out. What you want to get is you want to get about 80% figured out, because you're going to figure out things along the way as you're actually making this thing. Like some things you may not be able to get. You may change your mind about something midway in production, or see something that you like better than what you initially wanted, and you're going to go, oh, I want to go with that instead. And, you know, then, sorry about that, I had an itch. Then you could, you know, you can change your mind. So this is basically, you know, like in Pirates of the Caribbean, this is a guideline, right? You know, so it's not locked in. It's not like, oh, we've got to make this and that's just all there is to it. No, this is to give you a direction. That's the whole point. This is my direction. This is the way I want to go. These are the colors that I like. This is how I want to use them. And you can change those things as long as you go along. So, you know, don't feel like you're getting locked in. This is designed to kind of springboard you and get you excited about what you're going to do. Because when you can see it, when you can see what you want to make, it gets really exciting. You're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I really want that. You know, I'm excited about doing this, and it's going to motivate you to do the work, because every time you get like, oh, God, I got to sand again, or I gotta, you know, do weathering or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, let's go back and look at the picture. And you're going to go, okay, cool. I've done this and this and this and this, and now I'm on this thing, and it's looking awesome, and I've changed this out. And this is the other great thing about layers, is that if you ended up changing some component in your concept, it's very easy to, you know, just add that in and take out the thing you're replacing. So this is a very, very handy tool. Let's go ahead and look at this thigh plate here. And I think I called this a KD thigh. Yeah, okay, quick draw. So you can see we just have the left side here, and we're going to want to have the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this layer. So I'm going to right click on it and go to duplicate layer. So now I have two of them, and I'm going to take this one and I'm going to move it over to here, and I'm going to say there's supposed to be a way to flip this. Here we go, transform, mirror layer. I don't want to mirror it, I just want to flip it. So how do we flip it? In Photoshop it's easy, it just says flip layer. Let's see, maybe I can do it this way. Image. Okay, it's got to be in here under, is it under layer? Was I under layer? Yeah, layer transform. So let's try this, layer transform. Let's go ahead and, yeah, we'll go ahead and just mirror the layer vertically. Or no, horizontally. Okay, so I don't know what that did. Let's find out. Let's zoom out and see what happened. Oh, okay, so it's way over here. But it is flipped, so that's good. I don't know why I threw it over there, but whatever. So if you end up using Photo P, which is another image manipulation setup that is apparently almost identical to Photoshop. So if you've got Photoshop and you don't want to use it anymore, you can go check out Photo P. All right, so now we got left and a right thigh. That's cool. If we want to have, there's not really any reason for us to have um, two different layers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say merge with layer below. So now we're back to one layer. Both things are in place, and we're going to do a little bit of color correction on this and on the greaves. So let's go back to the greaves first, and we're going to do some color correction on them. So let's go down. First thing we want to do with these is we want to desaturate them. So we're going to use a filter, and we're going to use this HSV, which stands for hue, saturation, and value. So hue is colors, saturation is how intense those colors are, or how rich those colors are, and value is the tone, the brightness or darkness of them. So like if you think of a gray scale, if you're starting at white and going to black, all those levels in between, depending on how much separation there is and how detailed it is, those are all going to be basically values. Okay, they're different values of white and black or gray. So HSV is hue, saturation, and value. So we're going to bring that up. You get a little window here, and you can see hue. We have all the colors. Saturation is we can either make the colors really pop, or we can just get rid of them completely. And then that's really dark. So what we want to do now is we want to kind of pump this up a little bit. So we're going to increase the lightness. So when we put color over it, it reads. So we're going to say okay, and now we have our greaves done. And for these are going to be pretty easy because they're already grayscale, but I think we need to lighten them up a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go through the filter again, making sure our layer is selected, and we're going to do that hue, saturation, and value again. So we're going to go ahead and brighten these up. Just like that. Now this is actually from an actual photograph, so it doesn't read quite as well as the renders that I did, but it's there. And we can always augment it with some line art around it if we want to break up these panels. In fact, I would like to do that. So I'm going to go to my line tool up here, and I'm going to make sure I have black selected as my foreground, and I'm going to take and just kind of draw a line here, and every time you stop you'll begin drawing another line. So if you want to get the curve. Now there is a thing called stroke, which is where you create a selection and it will draw an outline around the selection. But for some reason I can't get it to work right. I don't know what the deal is with it. It could be a bug in this version, or more likely it could be that I'm just doing something wrong. But stroke's been around for a zillion years, so it shouldn't really be that big a deal. Oh, you know what? See, this is why I want to do this, because the line actually goes that way. So I'm going to get my eraser, go into eraser mode up here, click on that, and we're going to erase this. Oh, I think I need to, well, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to undo, because if I erase here, I'm not doing this on a different layer. I'm doing this on the same layer. So it looks like I stopped right kind of in the right spot. So I'm going to go ahead and just get my line tool going and turn off the eraser. And we're going to just pick it up from here. I don't know why it got so thick all of a sudden. That's weird. Did I click on the wrong thing? I don't know. Let's click on that. Yeah, it's the same size. All right, well, we'll just go with that. So now I've got some separation here. So when I want to go in and do my colors, you know, if I want that little panel there to be a different color or a different tone of one of my main colors, then it's isolated enough with some line art for me to be able to see that. And I can do the same thing on the other side, but I'm not going to linger too long on any one part. I'm mostly just trying to show the theory here. Okay, so now we got this collar plate up here. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the collar plate. That's the collar front right here. And you notice it's sitting kind of high above the shoulders. So if I take this tool here, which is the transform tool again, remember how I showed you that these things can do different stuff. So if we grab it in the middle here and we just pull it down, now we got it sitting over the shoulders, and we can say okay to that. And then we can also, let's hide the helmet, and we'll stay in the collar, because what we want to do now is we want to cut this out right here. Okay, so we're going to zoom in just a little bit more with our zoom tool. All right, cool. Now we're going to go ahead and cut this out using the polygonal selection tool. So we're going to just go like, we're going to have to do it like this, because we've got a little bit of trickiness right here. Okay, and we want to come outside of it, and we're going to kind of follow the implication of this neckline here, and then we'll come down into here. We want to make sure we completely clip out all of the back area of this collar plate. Then we'll double click when we get to the end, and then we should just be able to hit delete, and there we go. That's what we wanted to do. So now we're going to back out of that. I'm going to hit Control minus a bunch of times, and now we can kind of see better what we're doing. We'll go ahead and desaturate this in a little bit. Right now I want to go ahead and take care of this pauldron here, which we only have one side. We need a left and a right. So we're going to do the same thing here that we did with the quick draw thread. We're going to go ahead and duplicate this layer. And then, you know what, let's check something out here. Let's go into here, and I want to check out, let's see, flip image in Krita. Oops, that doesn't spell anything. All right, let's see, how to quickly flip images in Canvas. How to flip horizontal. Okay, so we're going to get a little tutorial here real quick and see what we can see. Is this... Okay, there we go. Alright, this is a super short video, I believe.
Hello everyone, today we are going to learn basic Krita tutorial how to flip horizontal. We have this example photo, and
I guess
if you
this
want
is a
to
very
flip
popular
horizontal, you can use transform tools.
I see so many of these tutorials from guys in India
and go to all option. If you don't have these two
very
options,
popular. Boy, this music is too loud, bro. Okay, let's see what he's doing. Hold on, we got to we got to go full screen on this. He is under settings, dockers, layers. Oh, he's just saying turn on the layers now. I cannot even hear him. So what did he just do there?
Okay, that's it for basic.
Wait, what?
Okay, that's it.
What do you mean that's it? What did you do? How did you do that? You didn't even click on anything. Oh, okay. There's a little arrow here. I know exactly where that is. Okay, cool. All right, that's all I needed to know. All right, so there's a little aside there. So we're going to go ahead and deselect right here because we got something selected. So we'll say deselect. And we're going to go to the pauldron layer, and we're going to duplicate that. Oh, we already did. All right. So what we want to do now is we're going to go up here to where we just saw this little thing here. And let's see, I think it was up here in Tools. Yeah, it was pretty crazy, huh? Okay, so if I select this layer, which I did, why am I not seeing that thing? What the heck? So let's go to settings, And we want to show Dockers. We want to show, he showed layers, and that's it. That's it, right? Okay, so what the heck? Why am I not seeing that? Oh, here it is. It's up here. All right, so if I select this and I do that, it probably put it somewhere. Okay, yeah, it looks like it did. I don't know where it went though. It's just, it should have just flipped it. Right? So why is the mirror right there? Okay, so maybe that's my mirror line. Maybe that's the mirror line. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Hide mirror line, move to canvas center. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So why isn't it doing it? Let's find out. Because it doesn't appear to be anywhere else. Although this is really bright, which is saying to me that it's actually sitting on top of the other one and it hasn't gone anywhere yet. Let's see if that's actually true. Yes. Okay, so why is it a different transfer mode? That's really strange. Oh, it's on addition for some reason. I must have hit a hotkey that moved it there. Okay, so it is not mirroring it. I don't know why. Hello? Mirror. All right, so this does not work. Let's see what we can do about that. Oh no, we don't want that. Let's hide the mirror X line. And let's just go ahead and tell this thing, since we know what it is now, it's actually up in here. We go transform mirror layer horizontally. There it is. Okay, cool. All right, so we knew all along where it was. We were just goofing. Sorry about that. All right. So now there's obviously some things missing here. We don't have a belt. We don't have a cod piece. Maybe we don't want one. I don't know. I kind of, oh, we flipped everything. Oh dear. That's not cool. Okay, so we got to do some big undos because we screwed something up. Undo, undo, undo. Yeah, wow. Okay, something a little haywire there. It like mirrored everything, did something to my image. Let me zoom out of here and make sure we actually still have the whole thing. Oh, we do. It's just flipped. Huh. Okay, so we got to get it back to the right way. Okay, so undo clear. Oh, this whole thing is flipped. You know, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I'm irritated that it did that. It shouldn't have done that. But I'm gonna just go with it because we got to keep moving. So somewhere along the line, I goofed and flipped everything over to the other side. So we're gonna go ahead and delete this again. Are we on the right layer? I don't think so. We need to be on the collar. See, now how come it doesn't go to the layers that I was on? None of these programs is perfect. They all have their little idiosyncrasies. So anyway, all right, so deselect. Deselect. I went reselect. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead now and we're gonna get this pauldron situation figured out. Where did it go? It's clearly lit up. Pauldron. Okay, here we go. So we're gonna duplicate it. And then we're going to flip it. We're going to go layer transform, mirror layer horizontally, and it's probably put it someplace really strange, like over on the other side for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I guess it's looking at a mirror line that it's probably that line that I just dragged out, which is unfortunate because, you know, I thought it was just going to perform the function, and instead it was just sort of determining where the mirror actually was. So at any rate, all right, so we've got, let's see if the helmet is still in the right place. If that got flipped too, or if it's only the things that we can see. Where's the helmet? Helmet. Here's it. No, that's the greaves. That's the back of greaves. Okay. Maybe Everything is so small. Here we go. That's the gunny helmet back. Where's the helmet front? Oh, here we go. Right here. Okay, cool. It's in the right spot. Good. All right, we'll go ahead and leave that on so we can kind of see what we've finished. All right, we had a knee that we were working on. So let's go ahead and bring the knee back. And that's totally, yeah, that's fine. Okay. That's actually about the right size. So that knee might actually be too big for these greaves, but we're going to leave it there for now. Because we can always move the thigh plates up too. So, you know, and this is all an approximation. So it's all about, we're just concepting here. Okay, so you can also zoom in and out by just scrolling your mouse wheel. And that's good to know. So we're going to do the same thing here where we duplicate, layer our mask, and then we're going to want to flip that. I'm going to go layer, transform, mirror layer horizontally. And now we got to go find where I put it. It was over here. Okay. And then we are still on move. We're in the right thing. Nice thing is it's already rotated correctly for us. We don't need to do anything else to this image other than get it consistent with the other things we've already got. Now see, the thigh plates are still kind of dark compared to the greaves, so I think we're going to want to brighten those up a little bit. But I'm going to move this knee down into the other layer because we don't need to have two separate layers. So I'm going to go merge with layer below. All right, so basically, yeah, if you right click on any layer, it brings up this panel. You can give the layer a color for some, you know, like an indicator color. Here's layer style. This morning I was looking for this. This is where you can add like drop shadows and stuff like that. So if you click on this, it brings up a panel where you can select different effects. You know, we can outline stuff. Oh, see, here's stroke. So if we wanted to stroke these and create an outline around them, see how that's like way too big. So but if we wanted to bring this down to like 1 pixel, then that's going to look pretty cool. So now it creates sort of a line art effect around it, but it doesn't do anything for the inside, unfortunately. But we could potentially get that by doing some other things. But anyway, I'll leave that on for now because it's kind of cool. But let's see here. Let's go ahead and desaturate these and change their tone. Let's make sure we're still there. So yeah, we're going to go to filter. We're going to go adjust HSV again. And we want to lighten these up a good bit. Like, that's pretty good right there. Okay. Let's go ahead and pull out the saturation to 0. Because this was from a color image and it did have sort of a blue tint to it, but now it very closely matches the greaves and also the chest plate and belly plate. And you want everything to be kind of consistent because that's going to make your colors look the same when we go through and actually do them. So let's see here. Here's the thigh. And this is all both in one image, right? Yeah, okay. So let's go back to HSV because for some reason it didn't really take when we ran it the last time. I'm going to do this again. And I'm also going to desaturate this just to make sure that it is totally desaturated. Okay, all right, this is looking a little better. Okay, that's looking cool, so I'm going to say okay. All right, now we're getting a little more consistency. Okay, so we've got greaves, we've got knees, we've got thigh plates. We're not going to do hip plates, codpiece, or tail plate because those are kind of secondary components of the armor, and they're very much going to take their cue from the major components, I feel. So I'm going to leave those out. If you're doing this, you know, and you want to put them in, feel free, because you're definitely going to see them, like the hip plates, you'll definitely see them from the side. But if you want to emphasize more what kind of sidearm arrangement you want to have, then you may want to leave the hip plate off. But you can always put the hip plate underneath and then put the gun on top. That's the beauty of the layers. So we're kind of right now just focusing on the front view because it's going to be our guideline for all the other views, which we're not going to do tonight. We're going to just focus on the front, and we're just looking at the sort of nuts and bolts of how to do this. And just to recap, in case anyone's unsure of how this works. Let's get rid of this now. And let's go back to, where's my Etsy? Okay, so how did I get these images? I was on Etsy, and I went to this great shop called Maker Baked. Maybe you've heard of it. And I went to their store. Well, I did want the gauntlets, so I looked for an image that had an orthographic view. None of them had an orthographic view, but this one had a nice side view, and there was actually another side view over here. There are some issues with it, like this is partially open, but for what we're doing, this is totally fine. Everything is supposed to be a representation, and we just want to kind of be able to get it onto the drawing and have it look relatively correct. We don't need this to be perfect. We're not going to be hanging this in a museum or anything. This is just for our guidance. So that's the point. So basically what you do is you just open up this image, right click and go save image as, figure out where you want to put it and say save, and then don't forget where you put it. When you go into Krita, you're going to go file, open, and you're going to navigate to where you saved that image at. So let's click on something. Let's click on, I think we actually got all of these open. Let's open one of these original character sites. These are very high res. Let's open up the front. We're going to close it right again. But then what it's going to do is it's not going to bring it into the image that you're working on. It's going to put it into its own spot. So right now here it's at the end of the line. Here we have all these other images that we brought in, and you can just click on them to get into them, to start working with them. All right, so it's like tabs in your internet browser. That's very, very much exactly like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. So that's what happens when you bring in one of those images. But let's say you wanted to use the Berserker helmet. So what I'm going to do is I'm on this layer here, right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit my rectangular selection tool, and I'm going to hit, I'm going to select it, and I'm going to hit Control C, or you can just go up here to Edit and go Copy. Okay, and then we're going to go back to our main image here, and we're going to kind of zoom out a little bit because this thing's going to come in big, which is what you want. And we're going to say Paste. Okay, so now it's right here, and you can see it put it in its own layer. For some reason it called it background. I think that's because that's the name of the layer from where we got it, because it didn't have any other layers, and it always calls the very first layer background. So you don't want to keep it background, because otherwise you're going to have 80 layers that all say background. It's going to be very confusing. So we're going to say Berserker helmet front. We'll leave the word helmet out. No reason to put that in there. So let's shrink this down a little bit. Why are you not selected, Berserker helmet? Are you still selected? Okay, I think we need to deselect. Nope, we're not selected. Okay. So now we should be able to figure out why it's not letting me do anything with this. Why are you not letting me do anything, bro? What are you doing? Oh, am I in something else? I think I am. Hold on, I don't think I'm in the right layer, actually. That's why nothing's happening. Let's see what that is. Oh, I've got this very tiny... I am in the right layer, but it took this very tiny little chunk out of it. Okay, so I'm going to deselect that because there shouldn't be anything selected. Let's scroll back out, and let's see if we can manipulate it now. No, what's it doing? Oh, is that a selection? Oh, yeah, that's right. We need to be up here. I was grabbing the wrong thing. So I'm holding down Shift while I do this, and this lets me move the helmet and shrink it down and have it be, this is actually the helmet's about the same size as the gunny helmet. So let's move this up. So if I want to reposition this layer, we've got these awesome up and down arrows. I want to move this thing up so it's sitting in front of the gunny helmet. Awesome, cool. Now we can see kind of what that looks like. We will go ahead and desaturate this, but we can leave these separations here because they're a good guideline for painting. And even though we may not necessarily want to do it that way, it's still nice at this stage to have them. So it looks like our helmet picture is needs to have the white trimmed out of it. So let's go ahead and get that. We're going to use our similar color selection tool, and we're going to click right into the white, and that puts a nice border around the helmet. And if we just hit delete, there it is. If you hit Control Shift A, you can deselect, or you can just go up here and say deselect. But again, notice, wanted to point out that every function in this program has generally a hotkey associated with it, except for these. But mechanical functions like selecting, deselecting, moving, deleting, copy, paste, these all have hotkeys. So anything that does have a hotkey will show it, so you can start learning. Like if you want to select everything, then you hit Control A. If you want to reselect something, then you hit Control Shift D, etc., etc. So also, I think if you hover over these, yes. So this tells you exactly what it does, and it shows the hotkey. So this crops the image to the area, and to get to there, you just hit the hotkey C. It's very handy. So it's super easy to learn these programs, and it's always easier when you have a reason to learn it. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to show this, is because, you know, if you're on your first Mando or your fifth, and you've never done this before, this is a great way to create focus. So, I mean, I'm pretty much saying the same thing a dozen different ways, but, you know, it's a point that's worth driving home because it's just really powerful. It's so helpful to be able to do this, and you don't need to be an artist. I mean, I am not doing anything that's artistic other than where I'm putting things in the artistic the artistic aspect is going to be when I start figuring out where I want to put colors. So that's where the art comes in. And what's great is that you're going to be able to see if it works before you shoot 1 can of paint, 1 ounce of paint. You're going to say, okay, my color works. Or if it doesn't work, then you go, okay, it's not working, why? And you can figure it out here instead of at your spray booth, right? Because, man, if you spray paint and you suddenly decide you don't like it, not good. So that's why this is so valuable. All right, let's see what we've got. We have side pieces. We're not going to do those. We have a back plate. That goes on the back. I think we have all of our front pieces for now. So obviously a belt would go in here. What we'll do is we'll kind of approximate one. We don't know yet what kind of holster rig we want to have. I am partial to the drop holsters, the Han Solo style holster, the classic Star Wars, you know, non-armored character holster. That's what I like. Paint is too expensive. Yes, it is. It is very expensive, and it's not getting any cheaper, man. But you know what? It depends on where you go too. I bought a can of the Rust-Oleum Silver Chrome that I use. I was out. I had to get some. I went over to Walmart to see if they had it. No. As soon as I find a paint I like at Walmart, they stop selling it. I don't know why. But at any rate, I went over to AutoZone because I knew AutoZone would have it. And sure enough, they did. They wanted $20 for it. So I was like, wow, that's crazy, because normally it's like $12 a can, right? Which is still a lot, but you know, $12 is a lot easier to swallow than 20 when, you know, things are tight. So I bought it, took it home, and immediately got on Amazon and found the same paint for $12. And all I had to do was wait a couple of days for it to arrive. So I took the can of paint back, and they took it back. So I was really happy. I wasn't sure if they were going to take it back or not, but they did. But yeah, you got to be careful about where you go. Yeah. If you can buy your paint online, obviously, you know, you found that awesome art site Andre. So, I mean, you got a gold mine there. I would buy everything you can from there. But now car paints, you're probably not going to be able to buy those from Amazon. Or, I mean, not from, you can buy them from Amazon, but you won't be able to, probably won't be able to buy them from the Art Mart, Artorama. So, but you know, maybe you don't need it. Like I said, I want to try out, when I painted this helmet, I didn't know anything yet about how to make metal look really good with paint. Um, you know, I didn't realize that you got to have the subsurface as smooth as you can get it, you know. Um, I didn't know about shooting flat black and polishing it out. I shot this with gloss black. So I did this the way I did, you know, all my other helmets in the past, just the way everybody's taught to do it. Put the gloss black down, then it's going to be nice and shiny, so you can put your silver over the top of it, and, you know, you're done. Um, yeah, it looked okay, but it had that very bright look that chrome paint typically has. But I'm thinking that if I, you know, try it out and really prep my surface out good, do it with the flat black, polish the flat black out the way I do for black Beskar and for my silver paint, then shoot the Montana on top of that and see how that goes. Because, man, I just love the Montana cans so much, and if I could use the silver, that would be really cool. All right, so let's go ahead and desaturate the rest of these parts, and then we can start maybe looking at, I'm going to hide the Berserker helmet for now. Let's see where I put that. I'm going to move that all the way up to the top, just because it's going to be easier for me to find. All right, yeah, we'll keep it gunny for now. So let's go ahead and take these other things that need to be desaturated and desaturate them. You know, one of the things we could do too, okay, so here we've got actually kind of an advantage in that we have these models here that are painted up in, it looks like 3 different colors. Okay, so I remember when I made these images, this is a gray, and this one looks darker because it's actually in shadow. When I was rendering these out, I had a light in there, and one side's the side that's getting hit by the light, and this side is not that side. So it looks darker. But we've got the orange, we've got the gray, and then we have metal, okay? So technically 3 tones there. So what we could do is this the one? No. Okay, so let's go to this one. This should be it right here. What we can do, and I think I'm going to do this on the left-hand one instead because it's brighter. It reads a little better. This gray definitely feels like gray. Now this metal feels very dark. So, but that's cool because it's not going to change based on what we're doing to it. What we can do though is we can use the HSV tool to explore. This is another way that you could kind of explore different colors, okay? And we're lucky here that we already have, we've got a primary color with a neutral and another neutral in the form of metal. So the only color we're really going to be able to be affecting is the orange, and then anything else that's not orange. Like we have this red here, we have this brass color, and excuse me, we have this blue. That's going to change too. But this would be backlighting. This is actually in my gauntlet now. I took one of those name tags, those dot matrix name tags, and I put it up in here, and then I created an insert, and it's only for my gauntlet because my gauntlet's a prototype. But if anybody wants this for their Gen 3, I will make it for them. So basically it's a diffuser. So you print it in clear, you put your name tag with any programmable pattern in it that you want, and also animation style, which is really cool. And you put it in behind here, and then it diffuses it, and it looks pretty fantastic. So maybe I'll go grab my gauntlet here in a few minutes, or I'll see if my wife can grab it for me. But here we go. We're in the hue slider, and if we grab the tiny little triangle right there, can I even get it? Where is it? Okay, I see I'm controlling the saturation, but what I really want to control is this. Okay, all right, so you got to basically like click into it. All right, so I'm not seeing anything changing, which is a little distressing. Let me find out what's happening here. Make sure we're not actually affecting. No, we're not affecting that one. And we are on the gauntlet, right? This is it. Oh, we were on the right gauntlet. Okay, let's do the left. Oh, you're awesome. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to show this off. Let's go here to HSV. And again, we're going to take the hue slider. And here, now see, you can just move this thing around and you can start changing out that primary color and kind of seeing, what you like. Like here's, oh, what's her name? Can't remember. The French girl on the Facebook page who's making all her stuff from scratch. It's Lisa. I can't remember her last name, but you probably know who I'm talking about. Yeah, most cans there are between $8.99 and $10.99. That's fantastic. $8.99 is a great price. I pay $10 to $11 for anything I buy at the art store that's Montana. So here, yeah, you can move this around and you can start getting different color effects. Okay, so here's like my wife's arm right here. Okay, but yeah, so here, check this out. Let me show you what this is all about here. I'm gonna go to my big window so we can see this. All right, and I'll sit up. Maybe that's why I keep dropping in the frame, because I'm slouching in my chair. All right, so here's my left gauntlet, and up in here I've got this is it right here? Yeah, it's kind of partially covered it up. In fact, I'm going to just pull the pin and then I can look at it a little more easily. I think I can pull the pin. Let's see. All right, you know what, I'm just going to turn it on. Hopefully I still have some charge in the battery. Do I have the switch? I think I need some light. Here we go. Okay, so it's booting up. Right now it looks very bright, but it has an animation. Let me see if I can find the good way to view this. Okay, you can kind of see it moving there. When I go directly on, if I shift the angle a little bit. So that's one of these little dot matrix name tags in blue, and I got an animation programmed into it, which is super easy to do. You just hook it up to your computer. There's a little program it comes with, and you can write whatever you want and have it animated in a variety of styles. And then I put a clear diffuser over it that I built custom for this gauntlet. But for the Gen 3s, I can make the same thing. So all you got to do is punch a hole, which it's already set up for, if you didn't know that. I don't know if you've got Gen 3s or not. If you don't, you should get a pair because you love them. But anyway, that's what that is. So, all right, so yeah, you can use the HSV tool. If you've got anything that's got multiple colors in it, it's kind of already set up, you can sort of, use it to get some ideas. And what's great is that, we can say okay to this, but we can come back later and change it if we want to. So we're going to leave it like that for now because it looks kind of cool. I actually really like this blue a lot. It looks fantastic on my wife's kit. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. Adjust hue, saturation, and value. We're going to adjust the hue. Just the hue. Now here we've got some other things going on, but now we've got the blue happening, and looks like we're getting some greens, and I think that's being caused by the reflective elements in the picture. So this one it's not working out so good on. So it may be kind of hit or miss, but you know, you can still get an idea of something you might like. So I just thought I'd show that off. So let's go ahead and desaturate these parts, and maybe we can start putting in some paint. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Andre. I got to get in the habit of that. I need one of those little switchers, you know, that the streamers use, the cool kids use on Twitch. I need one of those. So let me go back to here. So I just used that HSV thing again to do this one, and it kind of worked, but we had some reflections in here that are, you know, kind of pushing into the greens a little bit. So that's that. But like I said, you can still get sort of an idea. And these blues are not exactly the same, but they're in the ballpark. So what's cool is they're slightly different. So if you like this one, then you could just, we'll use the selection tool, or color selection tool, to sample that. And then we can have it in other places. So, all right, so let's go ahead and we're going to desaturate the color plate. Our new color plate. Boy, this stuff can be hard to find. There we go. That's better. So you can adjust the size of these windows, by the way. That's not really what I want to do. I'm going to make this bigger. Let's drag this out just so we can see it a little better. And we want the collar plate. Let's copy the pauldron. Let's move this one down, because we don't need that. I think we did this already, and then we did all those undos. We lost some stuff. Okay, so why am I not seeing the color? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right, so let's desaturate this. We are on the thing, and we're going to just desaturate it. And you'll see why we're doing this. Andre, you were here this morning, so I know you're kind of already ahead of the game here in terms of what we're doing. So we're going to take the saturation, we're going to slide it all the way down, and then we're going to boost the lightness so that it kind of matches this chest plate. That's pretty close right there, so we'll say okay. And this is not an exact science here. I mean, you could get really deep with this stuff if you want to, but you don't want to spend too much time on it. Moving through it kind of fast is helpful, because you find you get your best ideas when you're kind of in a flow state. And when you're in a flow state, you know it because you're kind of just moving along, you know, and it's really cool. And you get your best ideas, and then a lot of times we'll second guess those ideas. And I've seen this time and time again in the film industry, where a producer or director or somebody will say, yeah, I want this thing, and you show them your first one that you did when you were kind of in flow. They go, no, it needs to be, you know, square but more round. You know, they'll give you some really vague instruction like that. And so you go through 10 iterations of it. And they'll be, no, it's close, but no, try this, try that. And then, without them really being aware of it, you'll show them the very first one you did again. They go, it's perfect. Happens more than you know. All right, so let's go ahead and desaturate these. We got the pauldron tools. I know, I talk and talk. I'm sorry. HSV. Is that right? Yeah, that's it. I don't know why it looked different for some reason. So we're desaturating, we're removing all the color, and we're brightening it up. All right, so now we have our mostly grayscale gunny ready to start painting up. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to use two things. We're going to use the color selector, and there are different selectors that you can use. Okay, so this is the HSV color model. You can also use hue, saturation, and lightness. Hue, saturation, and I don't know what that is. But you can also, let's see, no, we don't want that. We want this. You can change this. This thing's actually pretty cool. And we'll leave it on HSV because that seems to work pretty good. Let's see what all our custom color selectors are. I think we'll just go ahead and leave it there. Shade selector. Color history. Okay, so we're going to just go with that. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what that is. It's very strange. And it doesn't seem to have... I guess you can kind of pick colors from it, but I just don't know what it is. Yeah, it's kind of strange. See, and this must be the color history here. So let's see. Let's open this up a little bit. Okay, that's kind of better. Sort of. I still don't like this. I just don't know what it is. Okay, I see what's happening here. We got sort of a grayscale thing going on here. We have a tone shift going on here from the red, because right now red seems to be the color that's selected here. I'm guessing if we went over here into green and we selected a green, yeah, then you're going to get something similar, but with the greens. And if I'm not mistaken, we might actually be getting a 4-color theory or tertiary color set. Okay, so I'm going to test that. I'm going to go over here into orange. And yeah, we are. These colors are all compatible with each other. I know the red and the green here, you know, well, that's Christmas time. The orange and the green, no. But the orange and the blues, orange and the purple, yeah. Pink and the purple, yeah. The green and the blue, but more like the green and the aqua. So this, this is confusing, but kind of figuring it out. So, yeah. Moving on. All right, so we want to add some color. So let's go ahead and say we want this chest plate to be, with all the raised panels to be in blue, or maybe we want the whole thing to be blue. Okay, so let's just work off that for right now. Let's go with broad strokes. So we're going to take our polygonal selection tool, and we're going to go down here to the chest top. We'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit. We can use our scroll wheel. It's going to zoom based on where your mouse is, so we'll keep it right in the center of the plate there. And we'll just do 3 clicks on the old mouse. And we've got our selector, so we'll just go ahead and we'll draw a line around this. And what's cool is, you know, see, you can be way off, and all you got to do is just move it. Like, we've got a little bit of a bend here, so we kind of want to follow that. Another one here, and then we're going here to here, and then we're going to go over to here, kind of do the same thing, bring it around, and bring this, I think I'm going to show the drop shadow again, because it's cool. Okay. So somehow we cut this corner here. I'm not sure how that happened, but I think we can fix that. We go into tools. We can go to, there should be a subtract. Yes. So if I go here and I just kind of cut around following the line, I'm going to overshoot over here and come back around. And that took that out. But now we've got this here. So, all right, I don't know why that's doing that. I don't like that. That's not what it was supposed to do. Let's go ahead and just redraw it. So we'll keep it on add. Oh, you know what happened? I had it on add still. Let's undo that. We'll give it another chance. We'll put it over here on subtract. And how I know what these are is just by hovering over them, by the way. And it tells me, drops a little pop-up down that tells me what it is. Okay, so I'm going to select here and here. Hopefully this is going to take that out. Yes, it did. Okay, so now we have this where we want it. So we're going to go to our we're going to actually use the fill bucket, okay, which is right here. And we're going to go back to our color selector. And we're going to select this blue here. I like this blue right here. And you can, if you move this around, then you can get different tones. So like this way makes it get darker, this way makes it get brighter, and this way makes it get more saturated, more like mid-range of that color. So if you go this way, it gets brighter. If you go this way, it gets darker. If you go here, this is like 50%, okay, of light and dark. Here is the most true representation of the color. So we're right there, we got that, and now we can go ahead and we can, we're going to create another layer over this. So to do that, because we don't want to paint right into this layer, because it's hard to change. So we're going to hit the plus tool, and because we have this layer selected, it's going to create a layer right above. Okay, and it's called Paint Layer 1, so we're going to call this Chest Color. And we'll use this as our main color window for the chest plate. So I have the paint bucket selected. I'm going to click in here, and you can see it filled up. But now the problem is that it covered up all the cool detail. So this is where transfer modes come in, or blending modes. So most layers are set to normal. Normal means whatever's in the layer appears solid, unless it's been partially erased or it's only been painted at 50% opacity or some of that. Other than that, any kind of images or paint strokes or fills like we just did are going to appear completely solid, just a block of color. Okay, so obviously we don't want that. We want to be able to see the detail underneath it. So we're going to change our blending mode. And you can see a little pop-up pops up and says the blending mode is normal. Now, Krita has a ton of them. And you can add them in down here. These are ones I haven't added in because there's just no reason for that many. I use pretty much either multiply, overlay, or additive, or addition, and screen. Those are the ones I normally use, and here's screen right here. We're going to do an overlay. So what an overlay does is it kind of like makes this blue transparent, but it'll make it a little bit brighter. And we'll look at what all of them do. So let's start with addition. Here's addition. If we hit that, we can see everything underneath it, but what it's doing is it's actually adding the color underneath to the color on top. So it's changing it. It's not the same color we had before. It probably would be possible to get this back to that, but it's going to take some work. So let's try a different blending mode. So let's look at multiply. Multiply does the opposite. It does, oh, it actually looks pretty good. What it's doing is it's multiplying the bottom with the top. So you're getting to see everything underneath it, and we are keeping this pretty true to the color. It's a little darker. Multiply tends to make things darker, so if we go back to normal, yeah, you can see it's definitely darker, but that's okay because we can use this, and if we wanted to make it a little bit lighter, then we can just change the layer opacity, and we can always push the saturation if we have to. So there's ways we can adjust this color. So we'll keep it right there for now. That's actually no, let's look at what overlay looks like. Okay, overlay is pretty close to the original color. Let's check it out. Yeah, overlay really kind of does what multiply does, but without really changing the tonality very much. All right, so that's very similar to what we had. I actually like the look of the multiply better though, so I'm going to go with that. Now we'll go ahead and we'll do some more broad strokes and get some color on these things. And this is where you can start figuring out, do you want any parts to be bare metal? Do you want to, where do you want to separate stuff in? So for these pauldrons, I kind of have an idea of where I want to separate them at. They're so low res though. But yeah, you get the idea. We're going to go ahead and do the belly plate next. So that is this right here. And we're going to go ahead and I'm wondering if I can go select. Oh, you know what? There's a quick way to get the outline. I'm going to deselect this. I don't know if this works in Krita, but it definitely works in Photoshop. If you click outside of the image with the contiguous selection tool, which is this one, if you click on the outside, it looks like it has put an outline around this, but what it has actually done is it's selected all the empty space around it. So if I want to get this, basically outlined quickly so I can throw some paint on it, then I can do that, and then I can go up here and go invert selection. Now it is, and I'll show you, I'm going to go ahead and invert it back again so we can see what it actually was. So if I go to my paint bucket here and I click in here, oh, it wasn't supposed to do that. I don't know if it inverted the selection or not. I'm going to undo all that and try it again. Uh-oh, I'm losing a headphone. Okay, hang on a second. Headphone is falling out of my ear. Always a good thing. Wow. I'm not crazy about these headphones. All right, there it goes. All right. And we're back. So let's do this again. I'm going to take the contiguous selection tool and I'm going to click in here. Now, in theory, I have selected all the empty space. So if I grab the paint bucket tool right now and click, you're not supposed to do that. If I click out here, nothing happens. Okay, so it must be smart. And that's actually cool. So all I did was I just took the contiguous selection tool, clicked on the outside, and it actually selected around this thing. So now we can actually fill it with paint. We can switch it to overlay. And whoa, hello. Where did it go? That's not right. Now let's try and multiply. Okay, something is not right here. Something. Oh, wait, hold on. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. I just did the thing that I said I didn't want to do, which was to paint into the layer. So let's go ahead and let's call this the belly color. All right, so now we go ahead and put our paint in belly color and we switch that out to multiply and we can see this underneath. So I'm going to try and see if I can push the contrast of this a little bit. So we go over here to filter, and if we go to adjust, we don't want auto contrast, we want levels. Okay, so here's our levels, and you kind of got to play around with this, but you can see what it's doing is like that's making it lighter, this is making it darker. We want to kind of push the variations a little bit so those lines show up better. So we're going to just move these sliders around until we get what we want. Okay, now we're starting to see the lines a little bit more. So I'm going to push this just a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to pull it back. I'm going to move the middle. And that seems to be working. And we'll say okay. So that was the levels tool. All right. So let's say we want to add a second color to this. All right, we're going to just focus on the chest plate here because the process is going to be the same for all these other pieces. And we have covered how to get pieces in, where to get them from, how to get them in, how to change them so you can easily change their color and put paint over them, and how to manipulate them, change their size, put them where you want them to go, and so forth. We've shown different filters, different ways of changing and adjusting the image to like desaturate it and to lighten it or darken it. We've shown how to select stuff. So I'm going to deselect this. We've shown how to deselect stuff. And now I'm going to show one more thing here, and then we're going to start wrapping this up. So we're in our layers panel. I want to add a drop shadow to this. So I'm going to go up here to layer style, and let's bring this panel up, and I'm going to select drop shadow. So what this is going to do is it's going to calculate a shadow based on a lighting model. So if I select this, you can see we've got all these different things. Oh, you got all these different angles. Flip the angle horizontally. Let's see what that do. No, that's not really what I wanted. Let's see what that does. Oh, that put it up way up there. Okay. All right, so we'll do it like that. And then we're going to, we don't want to change the opacity. The opacity is usually pretty good. We want to change the distance, all right, and the size. Size is the fuzziness. So the smaller the size, the sharper the shadow. Yes, okay. So that's too sharp. We want to probably go about, that's 0 pixels. We want to go about 3 or 4 pixels. Maybe just a little bit more. And we're going to take the distance down just a little bit. All right. So, one of the other things that you can do, in addition to adding drop shadows to everything, is like we can go here and do this to the pauldrons. And this is a good reason why you want to, I wonder if I can copy that. Let's find out. Where is that? It's just on there. Belly. Okay, so if we go here to layer style again, let's see if we can copy this. Why isn't it there? What did I put it on? I thought I put that on. Okay. I'm confused. What did I just... Oh, I put that on the... that's on the color. Okay, so I got to go to... I get confused so easily. Sorry. All right. So here we got drop shadow, and I think I can either save this. I wonder if I can just copy it. No. Okay, I can't just copy it, but what I can do though is I can save it. Okay, so I can just call this gunny drop or armor drop shadow. Drop shadow. Okay, and I say okay, and in theory, the next time I want to do this somewhere else, I should be able to just grab that. Let's go ahead and do it on the collar plate. Let's go to layer style, right click, go to layer style, go to drop shadow, and let's see if we can bring in, here we go. Okay, all we have to do is select styles, and we can highlight what we just did, and in theory that should make a drop shadow. Did it? I think it did. It's very not pronounced. So let's see what the dealio is there. Maybe we gotta make it more opaque. I don't know. Oh, we got a 0 distance. I don't know why. That's strange. Okay, yeah, that's too much. Let's bring it down to there. That looks good right there. Okay, we'll keep that. Now we can do the same thing with the pauldron. Actually, let's go to this again. I'm gonna save it again because it don't look right. So let's see if we can delete this. Can I delete it? No. Let's go to this, and it changed our distance to 0 again. I think it's because I selected that thing. So yeah. Okay, yeah, we put it back on 4. That looks good, and then we're going to go ahead and save as. Let's call this armor drop, and hopefully that's going to be right. So now we'll do the pauldrons, do the same thing. Go up here to layer style, and go to styles, and we'll go to armor drop. Say okay, and we got a nice drop shadow around it. So that's something we can do to make this a little cooler. We can do the same thing with the helmet. We can do the same thing with all these parts down here. So there it is. I'm going to stop for now. We can definitely revisit this, and I will probably do a tutorial series that goes into even more depth and covers, more aspects of this, how to manipulate the images within the image. There's things like the warp tool. So like if we wanted to draw a rectangle right here for his belt, but we wanted it to follow the curve of his body, we could use the warp tool to bend that. Okay, so there's all kinds of cool things. I mean, there's a ton of things that I can show you here, but the main thing I wanted to accomplish was to show you that you can take an image that has, you know, a basic character in it with the basic soft parts. You can bring in armor from pretty much any retailer that has good pictures. Particularly what you're looking for are called orthographic images, which are, you know, straight on, no perspective, no cool angles or anything like that. It's just very boring, straight, flat pictures, and most people seem to have those. So it's very cool. This image is tailor-made for that kind of stuff because, you know, if you're working with stuff that's posed, it's going to be very hard to find a character that's going to be in exactly the right pose to work with that. So yeah, so basically that was the whole gist of this operation today, and I appreciate you being here and hanging out with me and going through. And we'll be doing another live stream, but if you've got any questions, hit me up in the forums, okay? And I will get right to you. So I check the forums twice a day. I check in the morning and I check in the evening. So if you do it in the middle of the day, I may not get back to you until, you know, till late afternoon or, you know, sometime after dinner. But I will get back to you, and I'll help you figure it out. And if I have to, I'll just make a quick little video and post it. So it's not a big deal for me to do that, especially if I'm working on the computer because of the way I got my OBS set up now and everything. So yeah, feel free to hit me up with questions if you need, you know, if you don't know how to do something or you're trying to figure out, you know, how to do something. I will help you. I'll work with you. I'll figure it out with you because I may not know how to do it either, but we can figure it out together, and that could be fun. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you very much, Andre, for hanging out with me. I don't know if anybody else was here, but you're like the only one that was in the chat. So I appreciate the interaction, and I hope you have a great evening. And I'll be looking forward to hearing from you in the forum and also on Facebook. So until then, this is me, HK7335, signing out. Au revoir.